Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm right, thank you. I believe, as I said before we went live, that this is going to be an interview, which I think I suck at.
Okay.
But I'm going to try my best to keep to myself and allow you to tell your story, if you may. So for the benefit of the audience, if you may please tell us your full name and where you're from.
Okay. So my name is Siphesihle Losi. Born and raised in the Eastern Cape, Grahamstown, and I currently reside now in Johannesburg, Northcliffe, and yeah.
What do you do for a living?
What do I do for a living? I run an agency called iLosi Events Management, where I provide hostesses, waiters, waitresses, registration staff at events for corporate clients and business owners. And I'm also a wedding coordinator and events planner.
How did you get into your industry?
How did I get into the industry? I think back in varsity, when I was studying my second qualification, which is fashion design, I got to work, like a varsity, when you like a promoter, a waiter, waitress, and all of that stuff. So the people that I went to school with then got me into doing events with them. So I started doing events as a waiter, and it was basically me as a student just trying to get, pocket money, extra money. And that's how I started. That's how I fell in love, with events. I think also the very first event that I did, it was the Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week after party or pre-party. And I just saw the glitz and glam. I was like, oh my God, can I get bookings all the time? Even though my first time I really sucked at it because I couldn't remember all the food on the platters and some of the drinks and mixing the cocktails and stuff. But that was the very first event that I did, which was in, I think, 2012. Yeah.
2012.
Yeah.
So this is going to be 11 years in the industry.
10 years, yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you.
You mentioned that it was with your second qualification. What was your first qualification, and where did you study both of them?
So my first qualification is travel and tourism. I went to Boston and City campus in Strand Street in Cape Town.
Okay.
The reason why I actually ended up in that school was because so I'm from the Eastern Cape, Grahamstown.
Yeah.
Immediately after matric, I went to apply at NMMU and Walter Sisulu. I got accepted at Walter Sisulu, but one of my sisters who was going to reside in Cape Town ended up not wanting to be in Cape Town. And when I heard that my sister's coming back from Cape Town, I was like, what? So I then took my registration money for a Walter Sisulu. I booked myself a ticket to go to Cape Town, and I found myself in Cape Town without school and anything.
Jeez.
And then I ended up looking for a college that was willing to accept me, and that's where I ended up.
Did you always know you'd be in, I don't know if tourism and hospitality?
So I don't know if I think you did pick it up with the whole energy. So I've always had this energy that...
High energy.
A very high energy that I didn't know where to basically like channel it or push it or focus on it. And then Sorry, what was the question again?
The question is, did you always know that you'd be in tourism, hospitality, that type of space?
Definitely not. Definitely not. I didn't know, but there were activities and things that I used to do when I was younger that I think there were some sort of hospitality and travel and tourism that I not that I focused on, but I was doing as an activity or as a hobby as a child. And then now that I was older, it was sort of, I wouldn't mind doing this every day, or when I'm free, okay, cool, let's do this again, So I would say I didn't know, but my energy really gravitated towards that.
One of the things you mentioned off camera was dance.
Yeah.
What was high school like for you? What were you up to besides obviously academics?
So I used to dance for a township dance project. It was called Amapiko Township Dances.
Yeah.
And from there, we used to go to Ebibizondane. I don't know if you guys know Grahamstown, but we used to go to Ebibizondane, which is like a township hall just closer to town. And then from there, they would select, I would say, the best dancers to go and take part in the drama dance challenges at Rhodes University. So I started off at Amapiko Township Dances, and then I was selected to dance at for the first physical theatre youth company, which was under Rhodes University. And we used to do like I Stud Forwards. We used to obviously take part in the National Arts Festival. We used to dance traditional, contemporary, and ballet, and all of that stuff.
Well, why not go and study drama, dance?
Well, I was not really great when it comes to drama, I would say. But with dancing, I think also the minute you start gaining weight and, going out of, I would say, Grahamstown, you get to see some other activities and you get to see some some other qualifications that you can study, of which travel would be like being in a plane. Like, I think as a township girl, you want to, travel, you want to, be in a plane, you want to be an air hostess and all of that stuff. I think that's immediately when I saw that, there's an opportunity for me to start, to study this, I was like, why not? Let me go for it.
Do you still do something with your fashion qualification?
Well, kinda. I did attach these sleeves.
Oh, wow.
I did attach these sleeves to this dress because so some of the events that I do, they're very, I would say, luxury events or very, these gala dinners and stuff.
Very high end.
Very high end, whereby you have to wear, a couture and stuff. And for me, especially if I'm working, I need to wear something that is very comfortable so that I can move, I can run, I can pretty much reach where I need to reach and stuff. So I just thought, if I have, a little bit of feather, because feather is also like a bit trendy now, let me just attach and, pimp up my dress so that I can also appeal to the clientele that I service.
No, thank you. So how did you, I think now going into your business and the industry, how did you start your business? You spoke about you used to waitress, you did a bit of events and then you started with Mercedes-Benz. How did you get into that? Where did you get the funding? How did you build your business at its foundation?
Okay. So I did mention that I used to waitress as I would say as a side hustle when I was still a student. So what then happened, I think towards end of that year, the company that I used to work for as a waiter, they then approached me and asked me if I can work with them at the office. So I had now an ultimatum of going back to school or I should continue and working with this company full time. So I chose working with this company because, like I said, I really enjoyed, working at these events and stuff. So I worked for a company, I think for about 2 years, if not more. And then what happened, the owner of the company then left South Africa. And I think he sold the business to somebody else. And then the new owner was now trying to, obviously cut down the costs and all of that stuff. And with the money that I used to get paid as a student, I was then like, no, it can't be like lower than this because most of the money actually I even used to send it home. So I then left my job. But when I left my job, I still had people that used to call me and ask me, hey, Losi, didn't you have any gigs? Students from UCT, students from CPUT, basically young people that were like, hey, bro, like hook us up with the job. Do you get what I mean?
This is promotions, activations.
This is promotions, events, which was weddings, but we used to work there as hostesses and waiters and bar stuff. So they used to call me and basically like text me literally every weekend, you know, don't you have a gig for us? Don't you have a gig for us? And I had a friend of mine, a really good friend of mine who used to, his name was Vessels. He then said to me, hey dude, like why don't you start your own thing? I mean, you've been doing these events, you've worked at almost all the wine farms in Cape Town, you can run events, why don't you do your own thing? And doing my own thing, I was like, hey, what am I going to do? Like, where am I even going to start? And he was like, no, you can go to CIPC, you can register your business and it costs this much. I was like, oh, really? And I did exactly what I was told. And I remember immediately when I finished registering my business, I got an activation to promote. There was new vodkas that were coming to South Africa, which was GTV vodka. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of it. It was also, I think it was fashion something vodka. I think there was like about 4 or 3 vodkas that we were trying to promote, bring into the market. And I got that gig, but I accepted the gig. I supplied the staff, but I never secured payments. And we worked and we never got paid.
Wow.
And I think after that, I was left with the debt of not paying the staff because I knew how to do events. I knew how to, you know, work at events and run an event, but the work behind the scenes, you know,
and the finances, most importantly.
The finances, sending codes, emails, and all of that stuff. I had no idea how to do that, and it took a lot of years for me to actually, you know, get the business off the ground. So immediately after that event, obviously I was left with, you know, a debt of not paying people. People were not speaking to me. People were angry at me. You made us work, but you didn't say, you didn't pay us and so forth. And I think it went on for about 2 years or 3 years. I was like, you know what, let me just go and find a job because clearly, you know, starting a company or running a business is, I don't know how to do it. So I went to start a job. I worked. I went back to employment. I worked, and still this whole thing of me doing events, every time I would find myself at an event or I would attend an event, I'll be like, oh my gosh, I so wish I was the one, you know, doing the registration. I so wish I was the one, you know, behind the scenes and all of that stuff. So eventually, I think in 2016, end of 2016, this is now me from Cape Town. I came to Joburg. End of 2016, I'm like, you know what, I was working in retail. I was like, you know what, let me cut everything. Let me stop doing what I'm doing. Let me start my company again. But the nice thing was that while I was working in retail, I was working in Sandton City Mall. And they also had a shop in, Morningside Shopping Center. I also worked at Taboo nightclub as a gig, like as a side job, because I really liked, like, I had this energy that I needed to, you know, use it. Do you get what I mean?
Were you a hostess there or doing
I was
something
actually
else?
a waiter. I was actually a waiter.
At Taboo?
At Taboo.
You weren't jivering there?
Funny enough, no, of course not. I can't even dance to save my life. Well, I dance contemporary dance.
Not hip hop and these. Okay.
No, not like.
More contemporary.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I was working there, they used to have like events. They used to have corporate events, and I used to always say, "Oh, yo, can I be the one that is working at this event for like upsell, F&B, or whatever the situation?" Because I just really loved being in that space. And when I left my jobs, both of my jobs, I had an idea of, you know what, I'm gonna go back to, you know, Taboo and ask if I can do their corporate functions, because I knew that they always have, you know, NDA functions that they host. And also none of the ladies wanted to do corporate events, because corporate events, they're not like spenders. Usually the bill is already paid. So
there's no big tips.
There's no big tips. There's actually sometimes not even tips, you know. So I was just like, you know what, let me quit everything. Let me go back and approach my ex-bosses and see if they can offer me something. And also when I used to work at a shop, it was a very luxury shop where politicians and elite Joburg people used to come in there. So I knew some of the people. They used to own like properties. I used to, see them on magazines. I'm like, oh, I can go approach this company. I mean, if I know the CEO, he always buys from, the shop, he would definitely recognize me. So I had that idea. And I got the very first gig through a security guard, those bouncers.
Okay.
So one of those bouncers I was very friendly to everyone. I was like, hey guys, so one of the bouncers then linked me up to, I don't know if it's his client or someone that he does security for when he goes to events. I got an opportunity to meet and present my business to the guy, and I remember when I sat down with him, it was him and his wife, and he was like, yeah, well, with you guys, pretty girls, like, yeah, we call you to events, you don't make it, because the thing is, you also don't have like responsibilities and stuff. And I remember me saying to him that, you know what, if you just give me this one opportunity, I like just 5% of your trust, the 95 will build it together, which is, I guess, a sales tip from Wolf of Wall Street. But I said that, and he was like, okay. And the first gig he gave me was on the 26th of December 2016.
Wow.
And you can imagine 26th of December.
Yeah.
Everyone on the 25 is probably drunk. Everyone is probably like partying and whatsoever. And I need to show up at 8 o'clock at the Gautrain station in Sandton because we are traveling to go and do a gig in Polokwane, which was in Siphesihle. I think it was one of I think I'm saying too many names, but it was one of the politicians' birthday event.
I think we know.
Yeah.
But that's good enough.
Yeah. So I remember getting that gig. I remember literally sending the booking to all the people that I have recruited over social media, and us traveling to go to that event. Me getting there, me meeting all the people that I used to serve in my previous jobs, and people are like, oh my God, you're here. And I think it was, what is it? What do they call it? Your first, what is it? Your big break.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was my big break where people actually recognize what I can do. And some of the managers that used to manage the establishment that I used to work at, they then call me and say, Losi, you didn't tell us. I'm like, guys, I've been trying to say this the whole time I was working here, but they never, I guess, obviously if they don't know you, they'll never give you an opportunity, to say what you can do and all of that stuff. And after that event, literally by 2017, I was like smooth sailing in business.
Yes, man.
Yeah, that's how my business started. And obviously with more bookings that you get, you need more staff and more training, more uniform, more everything that will obviously make your company sustain itself and get it out there. So
when did you land Mercedes-Benz and how did you, the fashion week?
So remember with Mercedes-Benz, it was my very first event. Yeah. I was working for the company that supplied Mercedes-Benz with the services. Okay. So that's how I worked there.
But that's what you meant.
Myself, yes.
Oh, it wasn't your company. No, it was how you got into the industry.
Yeah, it was how I got it.
You mentioned something interesting about the businessman and I think his wife judging you on your looks. I don't know if you have any opinion on, we've got pretty privilege where a lot of pretty girls get opportunities that other not so pretty girls don't get. But you are almost being discriminated against because you are good looking. I don't know if you'd like to say something about that.
I think also not just good looking, but also being young, and also not having responsibilities. I think it is a no secret that, when you go to an interview, people will ask you if you're married, if you have kids, if, obviously your age and stuff like that, just to judge or weigh the options of, will this person stay longer? Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to keep on changing, staff
rotating
all the
stuff.
time. Yes. Yeah. So, that's what happened to me. But I also do feel like it does exist where because of how you look, you're definitely going to get an opportunity. And also understanding the type of industry that you're in. I mean, I'm in a lifestyle industry. I'm in a lifestyle, space. So you kind of have to look a certain way, so that these clients don't feel like, imagine coming to a gig and there you are
looking like
sporty, not looking like Upenywa, but
I'm
like
kidding.
fucking sporty, you're working a certain way and you're dressed a certain way, so you don't want people to, feel a bit like, oh, okay, like must I now watch my phone, my purse, my all of that stuff. So I understood those things, and for me it was not even about being pretty. It was just presenting myself so that I can fit the job. Do you get what I mean? Because I feel like also, even if you were to go and apply for a position at the bank, you will wear a suit, maybe to match the color of the company and all of that stuff. So I just did exactly what I think the industry looks or wanted.
You spoke about 2017. You started on your rise up, and you had your breakthrough end of 2016. December 26th.
Yeah.
Did you ever get into contact with the people you owed in the gig that went flat before you went back to work? Did you ever get back to them? Have they ever forgiven you? Is it one of the failures that you're like, look, these are some of the things that actually I think about that was my first biggest failure, and maybe I've never fixed it, or this is how I fixed it?
Yeah, so definitely I did that. I think especially the guys and the ladies did sort of forgive me without forgiving me, but some of them I did speak to them maybe like few years ago, but the guys I definitely, when I ended up getting, funds, I did call them and be like, hey guys, I know 3 years ago I never paid for 1, 2, 3, 4, but can I send you something? Please send me your banking details. Can I e-wallet you something? And I did that. And I think also because some of them I went to school with them, because remember when I was starting, I was in the same age as the people that I was hiring.
That you were hiring, yeah.
So
you were the hookup, basically.
So I was like, I think they saw that I was failing, and they were like, some of them were kind of like advising me, like, oh no, you should have done this. And I'm like, wow, why didn't you tell me sooner, And also the lady that even gave me those clients is someone that I knew, it was a friend of mine, but I guess also she didn't know that they would do this to me, but I did pay some of them, but I think about maybe 3 or 4 I didn't pay. But I see them there on Instagram. They haven't said anything to me. Jeez. But if they were to send me a text, I'm sure I can pay them.
What would you advise other entrepreneurs who have failed? It could be a tenderpreneur. It could be someone doing contracted work in the private sector. It could be any ordinary business where you owe. It could be suppliers, but let's say employees.
Yeah.
You are lucky that you managed to get some success and pay some people back. But what would you advise entrepreneurs whose businesses fail and they owe people, let's say, hundreds of thousands, and they can't pay them back, and they don't know if they'll ever make the money?
Yeah.
And even if they do, that money won't be for an old business. It's to grow this current one. How would you advise entrepreneurs in a situation like that? Because businesses fail all the time.
Very true.
Yeah.
I think also, as much as business fail, you can't fail. The only time you will fail is when you quit, I was lucky, or I had this drive to say, I know I messed up before, but if I get an opportunity again, and not necessarily wishing for the opportunity, but also going out there and, fighting for this opportunity so that I can not only grow the business, I can just also be in that space. And there's one thing that one of my clients said to me. She said, you know what, Losi, just continue doing what you're doing. The money will follow. Yeah. I think also how we take failure, no one teaches us about, when you fail, this is exactly what you need to do. People will always... and also failure is not like failure. It's there's certain things I didn't know how to do them so that I secure the business.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? Or so that I can secure the funds. You know, I think the biggest issue that we have as startups or smaller businesses is that we don't understand the importance of cash flow.
Yes.
So, and also because I'm a one man, I don't go to someone who's doing an accounting or someone who's been in business for the longest time to say, hey, how do I make sure that my cash flow doesn't run out? Because the minute you sell a product, you need to now say, oh, okay, from that product, this is how much I've made. That money needs to pay this person. It needs to pay electricity, needs to pay this and this and this. It can't go and buy sneakers or go to Diamond Walk. Do you get what I mean? Unless you want to sacrifice your employees. But I think also we just need to understand, go and dig deep in terms of how do I, like, where was the mistake? Do you get what I mean? What is it that I didn't do to make sure that my funds are secured? Do you get what I mean? I also understand that with the tenders, obviously with the tenders, sometimes you do the work and then the government pays you. But also you need to understand that you are the one that's doing the work. Your employees did not say, okay, we are agreeing to us doing the work and then you can pay us 3 months after when government pays. Do you get what I mean? So you need to be realistic. When I obviously started, as much as yes, I was smooth sailing, I needed to pay rent because now I wasn't working. So I was now working for the company, but not that the company would pay everything and also pay the employees. I would ask friends, you know, and be like, hey, can I borrow money so that I can pay the business? There's so many people. There's a lady that I follow on Instagram. I went to her Thanksgiving and I don't know how many times she thanked her circle to say, guys, thank you so much. There were so many times that I couldn't afford to pay my employees and you guys were there. And now she is she's so big, she's so wealthy, and I'm like, it's so good. When you are starting something, you also have the support because no one just starts and becomes like, boom, you know, you need to, but also understand that my employees are not willing to do the sacrifices that you're doing. So I don't really believe in employees not being paid because of whatsoever. If you have to sell your furniture, sell your car so that you can pay your employees, because at the end of the day, respect them the way that they respected you. To offer you with the time and the services.
Thank you so much. You spoke about bumping into old managers who are like, Losi, you never told us that you were in this. And what I heard there was a lesson around marketing. Do you think you were doing enough marketing for them to see you? And have you taken that as a lesson of, actually, I need to invest in getting my name out there so that people are not pretending like they don't know what I do?
I think I actually once said this before, that in Joburg, it's not necessarily what you can do, you know, it's about who you know. I'm not too sure if that has changed, but it's definitely who you know, because even now, some of the events that I do, if the bigger client that is servicing the main client is not saying, oh no, we work with Losi all the time, they won't like pay me upfront, like, you know, in full. But if it's me still trying to pitch, you know, and some of them would ask for meetings, you know, to meet me and see if I can do it. You know, there are so many questions. Like, I still need to market myself. Where I was before, I was sitting or standing next to the manager, you know. I'm not too sure if they were not attentive enough to see, Pella, this girl can actually, you know, service more than what's expected. For instance, when I worked at the club, let's say a tip, what is this? A tip is like 10% of your bill. Let's say you are a spender, you spend about 40,000 Rand and 10% of that is like 4,000 Rand. I used to get more than 10% because I didn't do what people were doing, what other waiters were doing in terms of putting the total, then write 10%. I wouldn't do that. I'll just leave the bill as is. You know, it's you know the total amount. but you also need to pay a tip. But immediately when I take your card and I insert it, and then I ask you nicely, can I make it this much? So instead of 4.5, I'll say, can I make it 4.7 or 4.9? And by that time, you've had so many glasses of whiskey. You've had so many.
Losi out there.
So I would always get more than the 10%. And it got to a point where even other waiters would be like, hey, please go and ask that guy to pay for us. Come, here's my donor. Because for me, it was like, oh, okay, I see what is this? The foundation of how I need to do things, but like, can I do it better? And I'm also not here for 10%. I'm giving you more. I used to make sure that, I make sure that they are seated fine. Yeah. Like the table is clean, if they need something, they don't even have to like ask or shout. I'm just there. I'm their eyes and stuff. Yeah. And which is some of the detailed things that I offer at events to make sure that when you hire, not just myself, but my team, you don't get to do the nitty-gritties. Like we're there for you. We're there to entertain your guests. We're there to host your guests so that they don't feel like you now need to. If I don't want to queue for food, I don't have to queue for food. Do you get what I mean? Guests need to know where they need to be at what time, and everything is being, laid out to them so that they can enjoy the event. Yeah.
Do you invest in marketing?
I do invest in marketing. I do have a designer. I do have I've got a guy who actually did my my digital company, sort of like putting my company digital and making sure it's visible and you are able to spot it out. And I also have a guy that focuses more on the aesthetics. So those are two guys that do my marketing. I would say also social media. I think that's my biggest marketing platform that I use. I do also. Is YouTube part of social media?
I believe so.
Okay, yeah. So I would say definitely social media is part of my biggest platform that I use. And also what I try and do so much is make sure the clients are so pleased that my word of mouth is so good that...
In your industry, I think word of mouth probably carries more weight than anything.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Because people would definitely come to you and say, oh, okay, so I see you did that event. Who did that event for you? And if you have good things to say about me, then they won't even, ask questions and
they
be like,
know
okay,
the quality.
Exactly. So definitely word of mouth.
You spoke about a lady who had a circle. And you spoke about, I guess, one of your failures. Have you found a circle? And where would you advise a young startup kid to go to find a community of people that could potentially, when you need a little bit of extra work, some volunteers, a loan to pay off something, maybe hire a little bucky, where would you advise people to potentially go?
I think depending on the industry that you're in, but we're going to speak about events. There's a lot of event companies, deco companies, sound lighting, all the type of companies that are available for startups or for young people that want to get into the industry. Excuse me, to work at. I don't believe in just volunteer for the sake of volunteering, unless there's something that you are getting there. But there's a lot of companies, there's a lot of people that are willing to not only mentor, but to groom you while you are still obviously getting paid for your petrol and for your time. It's a matter of young people actually doing this and offering the work, Don't just come to events and want, the network, the social light, and tell yourself, if I, for instance, do the... Let's say if you were to have the Grammys in South Africa, oh my God, I'm going to rub shoulders with these people, but also go there and make sure that you're assisting those people. Because what happens is that people come and they say, oh, I want to shadow you. But now you don't actually want to shadow me, but you want to meet my next big client,
100%.
And even when you meet them, your work is not speaking for itself. My work speaks for itself, and my circle is not a circle of people that are my friends. It's people that when I work with them, they are guaranteed a good service or a service whereby they don't even have to question it. So I would say that is my circle. But for young people that really want to get into the space, they must go there. If you tell yourself, hey, I'm a photographer, you are being hired, let's say you are shadowing some other photographer, don't go there and busy exchanging numbers with clients and saying, oh no, I'm just hired by Penuel, but me now I've got my own company. Don't do that.
Very unprofessional.
It's very unprofessional, and it says a lot about you.
Says a lot about your character. Yeah,
it says a lot about your character. And there are companies whereby we meet them, we ask maybe like their contacts, we're like, oh, which company do you work for? They might be standalone, but they will always give you the main person that got the booking. I think people come into spaces for the wrong reasons, and when you come for the wrong reasons, chances are you're not going to last, or chances are you're going to get to a space and you feel like you're not growing or you're not getting to where you need to be because you know, you're not...
You're snaking people.
Exactly.
Yeah. I just want to add on your point. Silibucho, Mulife, and I forgot his partner's name, but I'll get it because I'll make a video about it. They set up the hookup dinner, which was really a great initiative for entrepreneurs to meet once a month. I'm not sure if they still do it now. I know in my own personal experience and for other people, attending incubation hubs, even if you don't need the incubation, you meet a lot of entrepreneurs there that end up becoming friends. Attending a lot of conferences and networking events. Some of them are stupid. A lot of them are talk shops. They don't add much value, but you bump into a lot of go-getters. They will end up becoming friends. So I think that also helps as well. I think we'll probably close this off because I want to do like a follow-up, especially watching this and asking more questions. You mentioned black tax. So some of the things we'll need to cover is maybe family and getting support from family, not just for you, but for other entrepreneurs out there. Being a young black woman, which you've touched on somewhat, but going a bit deeper. I think towards the close of this interview, I'd like to ask maybe, I don't know which camera is hers, that camera. You can speak to the camera, not specifically to me. If you were to pitch in 2 minutes what your business does and who your specific clientele is, please.
I know.
You can do it to that camera.
Okay. Okay, hi everyone. My name is Siphesihle Losi. I own a company called iLosi Events Management, which is a service business that offers waiters, waitresses, barmen, and registration staff at events for corporate clients and business owners. So if you are having an upcoming event and a wedding, please do contact us. It is 071-724-5598. But also, if you want a very high-end services to host your guests at events and weddings, please do make sure that you contact us, and that's it.
You guys love giving out your numbers so easily. So if we want females' numbers, basically we want to be like, hey, sorry, I'm looking for a service provider.
It's a business number.
I understand, but yes, I always cringe when I hear people give out their numbers on camera.
Guys, what you also need to understand, no one is going to bite you from your number.
Okay.
Do you get what I mean? Like
okay. But it is a business number. It's also important. It's not your personal number.
It is a business number. It doesn't matter if it's personal or not. But also, I work in a space where when I spoke about it, people used to cringe. Be like, oh no, don't talk about that. But I'm like, I know myself and I'm very, what is this? I know what I can control. And I control what comes to me. So I don't have to succumb to, saying some things and not saying some things, because I know where I can stop certain things. Do you get what I mean? So if it's a number, it's a number, unless someone will hack the number. I think that's the worst part that could happen. But
you can manage yourself.
I can.
I don't need to respond to rubbish. I can ignore nonsense.
Very well. You will call and whatsoever or text, but there's a point where I could, control what comes to that cell phone or that WhatsApp or whatever.
The balance of being a businesswoman, a wife, a mother, how has that been for you?
How are you? To be honest with you, I really hope we don't get there, but it's tough.
Yeah.
It's crazy, to be honest with you. I don't know how many clients or people on my WhatsApp that I'm like, I think this one is now single or divorced, or It is crazy. It is crazy. And I feel really bad for people in events because, you know, when you do events, like your partner is also forced to now carry tables and chairs, order flowers, because if they're not assisting you, who's going to assist you? Let's say you got a booking late night and it's a really good booking, you know, and you're obviously going to, you know, try and circle the money around, and it's somebody that you trust. You can say, hey, I need you to go pick up flowers. Here's my card. Just get there and say, I need an order for this, and pay this much. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And you probably need to do that at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock or whatever time the flower market opens. But if you now have to contact an employee, also you need to calculate the distance, you know, coming to, you know, my house and pick up, you know, the car and all of that stuff. So it's gotten to a point where partners do feel like it's now they are working.
Of course.
But
when you marry or date an entrepreneur, you must know you're going to work.
Do you get what I mean? It's work. And some people didn't really sign up for it, you know. And also having a baby, you know, having a kid. It's really sad because now I have to put my child to crèche until 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, because if I take her out at 2, it's not like the nanny is going to teach her A, B, C, D, E, you know. I'd rather keep her at school until a certain time. So there's a lot that we're struggling with, and I don't think there is, you know, a formula for it, because now you're still finding yourself, you're still growing. So I shame that one. Even me, I'm still...
Is your husband an entrepreneur? I ask this because some of the advice I've heard from people is, if you're ambitious and a go-getter and a hustler and an entrepreneur, rather marry someone with a stable job. Number one, when your business messes out, at least there's a stable income. But some people will say, look, go marry someone who understands, so that when you have to work late nights, travel over the weekend, they're like, oh, okay, I also understand, and we'll help each other. So is your husband an entrepreneur? If not, how do you guys balance it out?
So I think I was lucky to get married to an engineer. An engineer, they will find a way to make things work.
Problem solvers, Baba.
Problem solvers. So I think that was a plus one for me. When we started getting together, I was already on my entrepreneurship journey and he had a job. However, with the whole COVID and things being shaken and all of that stuff, he then went into entrepreneurship. But by the time he went into entrepreneurship, I was already like 4 years in or 5 years in. So to mention again, being an engineer, it helped things out because I would come with a problem. He already has a solution for it. He already has a solution for literally almost everything. And I think also getting to know the person that you're with, also understanding the person that you're with, like nothing can shake me, you know, nothing really faze me much. So even if I'm away for like a month or two, or I'm away for a week, you know, to travel for an event and stuff, he doesn't necessarily feel like, oh, okay, now I need to worry and all of that stuff. So, but it does take a lot of what is this? Is it an introspection and understanding that here it's either I really stay or I go, because at the end of the day it will question also you know, it will question if that's what you want. But once you see also the fruits and, you know, the end results, you're like, not too bad actually. It wasn't a bad choice. But
I really would like us to have a follow-up. I'm hoping the follow-up will be a conversation and not an interview. I told you I suck at interviews. Is there anything you'd like to say, get off your chest? I know there's some stuff we're meant to cover. I want to cover that with our conversation. But if there's anything for today that you're like burning, I really want to just say this, either about your company, about your work, about your industry, being a young black female entrepreneur, or anything else. Please feel free now.
I would like to say to customers, clients, if you have to complain to a black supplier or black business, do it the way that you would when you would complain at a big established business. I think I wouldn't be here if I didn't make the mistakes that I did in the beginning, whereby I would had clients calling or sending me a message to say, Losi, your quote or your invoice doesn't have banking details. Do you get what I mean? Please just make sure that your font, is the same. You can't have different fonts when it comes to, branding and all of that stuff. So I do really think that people should complain in writing or in message, because trust me, I could have a passion for serving people, but I don't necessarily have the skills and the opportunity, the skills to run back end. So you sending me a text to say, I would really appreciate if you would send quotes or respond to emails within the next 24 hours or 5 hours, whatever the situation may be, instead of being rude. People are so rude, especially to black businesses.
Yes.
The way they treat, like, we work with different suppliers. We work with white suppliers, we work with black suppliers, Indian suppliers or whatsoever. But you could see the way that they speak to us, and this is obviously coming from also other black suppliers, other black clients.
Okay.
So this whole thing of black people, they are like this, how are we going to get better if you're not telling us? And also people prefer different things differently. So it would really be nice if you could, in writing, just like how you would, and also just raise up what you are unhappy about so that we know where to fix. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. And another thing, hey guys, if you want to host an event, please bump up your budget. Like, have lots and lots of money. Like, lots of it. Like, yeah.
I've heard Gates and Mackenzie. I think he was speaking about, number one, black businesses and also small businesses, of which small businesses can be any race group. He was saying, let's try and criticize them or complain on the side. Call the owner on the side. I'm not happy with this. The food doesn't really taste great. Instead of rushing to like a social media.
Social media, definitely.
And then when you compliment, make sure that it's loud so that you can support the black business or the small business. The other side now, where there are small businesses, black businesses, who even after you've sent emails, even after you've tried to do the right thing, your advice to them to be like, guys, the client is trying to help you. They're not swearing at you. They're trying to, what advice would you give them about listening and trying to improve and not taking it personally, especially because it's your business? A lot of the black business people take it very personally, and then they also become rude back to the clients.
That one is very tricky. I feel like also with different people receive things differently. Some people are not in business because they want to be in business. They're in business for different things. So there are clients really, they're not about improving. They're not about, about clients or employees. They really also really bad people. Try not to support them. Make them starve, make them suffer.
Jeez.
So that but also if you keep on supporting, this person, is always late. The furniture never arrives.
You're saying if we keep voting for who? What will keep happening? We'll keep having load shedding. Sorry, please carry on.
Well, stop buying electricity. Well, we can't really do that, but really stop supporting them.
Make them feel.
Make them suffer. Make them hungry. Once they're not getting events, they will feel it, and nabo they will know. Oh, okay, you know what? The reason why I didn't get this, or the reason why I haven't been getting a booking, is because people have been complaining about this. Maybe I need to, start doing things differently. That's all that you need to do. Because if you keep on supporting, it's like supporting someone or a family member that doesn't want to get a job. Not that this person is crippled or anything, but because this person knows, if I call and say, hey, something, say you don't have it, even though you have it, so that they can feel, no, you know what, when you call me, say, hey, don't you have something for me to do, you know, so that I can gain something. Because if you keep on giving people, I'm telling you, abanye abantu abacingi shem.
Siphesihle Losi, thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to our next sit down. Thank you for the education. Thank you for the inspiration. I think the next one is going to be a bit more robust. I'm going to go a bit deeper on some of the things that you've said, and I hope you'll get to share on a deeper level more things about the industry, about your life, and about some of the challenges that, let's call it South African business people, first generation, that they go through. But thank you so much for joining us, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.